Hey there everyone, it's JC. I have a bonus card to share outside of my regularly scheduled perfect pairing, showcasing a product I designed for Altenew. I incorporated a little secret design element for this die set that's going to take your projects to another level. Stay tuned to find what is hiding in this die set. Before I dive into the main focus of this video, which is the Sweet Nasturtium Layering Die Set, I helped design this for Altenew. I'm going to work on the background of my card and then work my way to this foreground element. So what I'm starting off with is the Essential Textures Basketweave press plate, which looks like this. I'm going to use a panel of milk chocolate Crafty Necessities cardstock. And on my better press system, I'll add this panel to the top plate. Position the better press plate along the A2 alignment marks. Then with Choco Hazelnut, I'll roughly ink the surface of the entire press plate and run this through my Spellbinder's die cutting machine, so that I'm left with this impression and texture on my cardstock. Now, I won't be using this entire panel for the background of my card. I just want it to act as a focal piece for the items that I want to highlight on my front panel. Then with the largest circle in the Halftone Circles Nesting Die Set, I will cut out a portion of this background, and in positioning this in the center, just so that it's reusable for another project, I won't use the background piece to this. I just want the inner circle. So again, I only want this piece, and I'm going to save my Basketweave background inside this packaging so that I can use it for another project. I will also set this aside, and now I'll bring back the Sweet Nasturtium Layering Die Set. First came up with the concept of what I wanted to see in the Sweet Shop Retreat in Syracuse, New York. I wanted a scene that replicated some sort of high-end dessert, right? Sometimes you garnish the plate with flowers, and instead of designing two flowers, I wanted a single flower image to look like it could be two images. And I'll show you what I mean in just a second. I'll start by cutting out the images in this die set. Off to the side, I die cut a few pieces. So on my 9x12 sticky mat grid, I'll start with the floral elements of this card. I die cut one set of floral images using white cardstock. This is just a lightweight white cardstock, and this also includes the flower centers. Then on another area of my sticky mat grid, I'll arrange the other set of die cut petal images, and I cut this from Sunkissed Crafty Necessities cardstock. And then on the bottom left, I've die cut the Macaron layers. I die cut the main base image from Pastel Sunrise, and then the detail layer from Pink Diamond, then the base and detail layer of the filling from Vanilla Cream cardstock. Starting one element at a time, I'll start with my white die cut petals and flower centers first. I'm grabbing my mini ink tool blending brushes, and just like I would with watercolor, I'm going to start from lightest to darkest ink with Fresh Lemon Fresh Dye ink, and begin ink blending this yellow on the center of the flower petals, or where the center of the flower would be. So that's layers 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm also going to add Fresh Lemon to the topmost layer of this flower, so this one right here. Then I'm going to grab a nice bold primary blue. Let's do Ride the Wave. And I'm going to carefully start from the outside edge of the petal, work my way to the yellow, but try not to mix these two colors too much. I don't want to make green at the center of this flower, so I am ending up with a pretty clear white margin at the outside of that yellow. Then I'm going to grab a nice bold purple. Let's go with Midnight Violet. And I want to ink blend this right at the very edge of the petal tip on layers 2 through 6 of my pansy. Now I have my images arranged starting right here at about, what is that, the 4 o'clock position. So layers 2, 3, and 4 only. I'll also apply Midnight Violet right on top of the yellow, but I still want the yellow to peep through. So I'm barely taking this ink right onto the petal so that you get a suggestion of it, just like that. Then on this star image, the base layer to this entire flower, I'll also apply Midnight Violet to the number 1 layer, so this one right here. I'll let this dry back, and then I'll work on the die cut petals that I cut from Sunkissed. And in my inks, I'm looking for a bold reddish orange. So I'm going to grab Terracotta first. And I'm going to carry this color about 2/3 of the way up, starting from the center, blending this out to the petal tips. I'll use Terracotta as well on the base layer, number 1. Then I'm going to look for a vibrant red orange. I think I'll use Crimson. And I'll take this ink about 1/3 of the way up from the center. And I'm putting that on top of Terracotta. And I'll also apply Crimson to the topmost layer of this grouping of images. So this right here. So that finishes my flower grouping of images. So this is my pansy image or viola. This is my nasturtium flower. I'll apply a little bit of color to my macaron image, and I'm only going to apply some color to the detail layer of the macaron. So I'm grabbing Pinkalicious, just adding a slight halo of this ink on the outside to help give this macaron a little bit of curve and dimension. Same with the bottom half. Then on the filling itself, I'll use Rocky Shore on the base layer, so this one right here. And I'll apply just a slight wash of this color to that layer. While these are drying on my mat, I will bring back the foliage layers that I die cut. I die cut all of these images twice. I may or may not use all of them on this card. And I die cut these images from Parrot cardstock. I'm not sure if I mentioned that earlier. But now I'm looking in my ink collection for a nice primary green. I'll use Shadow Creek to apply a little bit of shadows and dimension to these die cuts. And at random, I'm just applying ink to the outside edges of these images, just to give the impression that they're curling or hitting the sun in different ways throughout your arrangement. And let's see, I'll actually deepen just a few of these at random. So I'm grabbing the next value of ink in the Fresh Dye ink set. And I'm kind of just picking images and edges and applying darker values of ink just quickly as I see them on my sticky mat grid, just to create some variance between all of these images and a variety of depth throughout my focal elements. I think that looks good. Before I start applying any glue to these images, I'm going to let them dry back completely. On my sticky mat grid, I've given all of these images time to dry so that I can glue them nicely. And for the pansy images, I'm actually going to go out of order of the numerical sequence of these layers. So I do have the arrow alignment guide pointing up for layer number 1, and I'm actually going to start with number 6. And if this wasn't mentioned already, instead of these die cuts having etched numbers in them to align them, there's actually registration dots. And this is what's going to help you quickly align all of these layers together. So I have number 1, number 6. I'll move on to number 5. Then I'll move on to number 2. Put that on top of layer number 5. From 2, I'll go to 4. Then for the last image in the group of petals, I'll use number 6. Then for the last image on the group of petals, I'll use number 3. So again, to repeat this is 1, 6, 5, 2, 4, 3. I'll top this off with the alignment for the center, and then add the flower center on top. So this is one flower. This is my pansy grouping of images. And I'll set this aside to fully dry. And now for the second grouping of petals, I'll arrange everything on my sticky mat grid in the exact same way, with my die cut image layer number 1 in the center. I just find that this helps keep me organized as I'm gluing everything together. And this is my sun-kissed and orange mix of inks for this second group. And this time we're going to keep it really easy. I'm going in numerical order, following the etching dots found on this die set. So I'm starting with layer number 1, putting 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Adding this small die cut with the open arrow, which will help align the flower center on top. And now I can also let this image dry. Aligning the macaron is just as fun as aligning the flower petals. I'm starting with the base layer and then putting my pink diamond ink blend cardstock on top of the base. And that's for the top and the bottom half of the sandwich. Then I'll add both layers of the filling, starting with my Rocky Shore blend base layer, and then the uncolored detail layer vanilla cream. Now that I have all my focal elements arranged and glued, I'll start arranging everything on a panel of white cardstock, starting with my Basketweave background, and I'm going to foam mount this to the center of this panel. Then on top of this, I'll arrange my pansy and my nasturtium flower, along with my macaron, to create this nice little focal center area. I'm noticing my card has a lot of primary and secondary colors, and this pink doesn't quite fit all the way, so I'm going to take ruby red, fresh dye ink, and a mini ink blending tool to accentuate and add a little bit more red to the top of my macaron. And I'm liking that palette much better. I think it coordinates now a little bit better with the primary and secondary colors I have on this card so far. I'm liking this arrangement, so what I'm going to do is foam mount the flowers first, and I'm foam mounting this on top of the Basketweave pattern. Then I will also foam mount the macaron to the very foreground of this arrangement. Then I can start filling in the shape with the nasturtium leaves, tucking in elements in front of and behind the flowers. Here's the result of all my die cut images arranged on the center of my card. Before I add my sentiment to this card, I do want to embellish my background and main elements, of course. So I'm going to use my trusty jet black ink spray splatter to help break up some of the shapes that I've added to this card. Then with pure white ink spray, I'll add a little bit of a sugary powdered sugar element on top of the focal pieces. Usually I don't mind a wide array of splatter, but I did get this really big dot right here on top of my nasturtium flower. So to help cover that up, I'm going to use pearl dots. This is coral. Luckily this pearl dot set matches the macaron. And I don't want it to completely go away. I just don't want it so large and obvious. And I love the pearl dots because they look like sugared pearls. I find that it really helps reinforce the edible theme of this card. So since I'm adding the pearl dots to those areas, I'll also further embellish the background. Then to add my sentiment to this card, I used the One Go Solid Sentiment Strips 2 with its coordinating die. And I'll take one of the sentiments that I already had in the sleeve of the packaging, just because it was readily available. And I will foam mount this right next to my macaron. And I'm feeling like this needs a little bit more enamel dots. So I'm going to take the Essential Black and White set. I feel like this helps give a little bit of direction to the sentiment. And I think this finally finishes my Sweet Nasturtium Layering Die Set card, featuring a few other additional items from the Altenew shop. Just as always, I have everything linked in the description box, so make sure you check out the 2 products I helped design for Altenew for the Sweet Shop Retreat in Syracuse, New York in 2024. Let me know if you were surprised by that fun little fact about the flowers in this die set. So like I mentioned, the intent was to have a layering pansy and a layering nasturtium, both of which are typically found in gourmet meals as garnishes. And then of course, to lend to the sweet shop theme, I have my little macaron here as sort of an elevated dessert element, so that even though you don't have a sweet tooth, you can still enjoy the 2 floral images in this set, and it just gives you a variety of images to play with on your next Altenew projects. So like I said, Gourmet Garland and Sweet Nasturtium, these are the 2 products I have designed so far for Altenew. Thank you to all of you who have already picked up the bundle. If you have made projects with the Gourmet Garland or Sweet Nasturtium Layering Die Set, make sure you tag me at jc.gaspar and at Altenew LLC. I'd love to take a look at your projects. And if you haven't added these 2 items to your Altenew collection yet, make sure you take a look at the description box for both of these items and more that I used for this card from the Altenew store. Thank you so much for tuning into this bonus video, and I hope to see you again very soon.